The year is 480 BC. At a narrow coastal pass in Greece known as the Hot Gates, an army of 250,000 stands before a force of just 300. 300 Spartans. History tells us they fought, and they died. A glorious defeat, a heroic sacrifice that would inspire a nation and define the course of Western civilization. Their loss became their legend. But in a timeline you were never meant to see, the legend was rewritten. It was a world where a tiny band of warriors did not just hold the line, but broke the back of an empire. A world where the disciplined, brutal culture of Sparta, not the democracy of Athens, became the soul of the West. And a world where the very idea of freedom was reforged in the fires of a battle that was never meant to be won. Welcome to the Unwritten Ledger. Our story begins with the largest invasion the ancient world had ever seen. Xerxes, the god king of Persia, has amassed an army of unparalleled size to crush the defiant city-states of Greece. His force is a tidal wave of men sweeping down from the north. To stop them, a tiny, desperate coalition of Greeks chooses to make a stand at the narrow pass of Thermopylae. The spearhead of this defense is 300 elite warriors and their king, Leonidas of Sparta. In our timeline, their stand was magnificent. For 3 days they held the pass, inflicting devastating casualties on the Persian horde. But it was doomed. A local traitor named Ephialtes revealed a secret path, allowing the Persians to surround the Greeks. Leonidas and his 300 Spartans fought to the last man. Their sacrifice bought time for the rest of Greece, but it was a sacrifice nonetheless. But in this timeline, the traitor is caught. On the second night of the battle, a Spartan patrol, more vigilant, more ruthless, discovers Ephialtes attempting to guide the Persian immortals through the mountain path. He is captured, he is interrogated, and he is executed. The secret path remains secret. For 4 more days, Xerxes throws his army at the wall of Spartan shields and spears. And for 4 more days, his army breaks against it. The pass becomes a meat grinder, choked with the bodies of his finest soldiers. The Persian army's morale begins to crumble. Their aura of invincibility is shattered. And then, the reinforcements arrive. Not just a few thousand, but a massive, unified Greek army of 50,000 hoplites, emboldened by the Spartans' impossible stand, arriving a week earlier than they did in our history. They smash into the stalled, demoralized Persian forces from the south. The Persians, now trapped in the narrow pass between 2 armies, are not just defeated, they are annihilated. The news of the disaster ripples through the Persian Empire. King Xerxes, having lost the bulk of his professional army in a single humiliating battle, is forced to retreat. When he returns home, not as a conqueror, but as a failure, he is quickly overthrown in a palace coup. The Persian invasion is not just over, the Persian Empire itself begins to fracture. Back in Greece, the celebration is ecstatic. But it is not Athens, the naval power, that is celebrated. It is Sparta, the land power, whose 300 warriors performed the miracle. Leonidas returns not as a dead martyr, but as a living legend, the undisputed savior of Greece. And everything changes.
Sparta's prestige is absolute. The other Greek city-states, in awe and in fear, agree to a permanent military alliance under Spartan command. The Delian League, the Athenian naval alliance of our history, is never formed. Instead, the Spartan Hegemony is born. This new Greece is not a cradle of democracy and philosophy. It is a nation forged in battle and ruled by the spear. Athens, with its radical ideas of democracy, theater, and art, is seen as decadent, weak. The Parthenon may still be built, but it is not a temple to Athena, the goddess of wisdom. It is a severe, imposing barracks and a monument to Leonidas and his fallen 300. The great minds of Athens, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, are suppressed. Their questioning of authority and tradition is a threat to the rigid, militaristic Spartan order. The golden age of Athens is snuffed out before it begins. Instead, a Spartan golden age emerges. It is an age of unparalleled military innovation. The phalanx is perfected, new siege engines are developed. The Greek world becomes a single, efficient, and utterly ruthless military machine. They do not debate philosophy, they conquer. This Spartan-led Greece expands with brutal efficiency. They conquer Macedonia to the north before a man named Philip or his son Alexander can ever rise to power. They turn west, and their disciplined, professional armies clash with the rising power of the Roman Republic. But this Rome is different. It never benefited from the Greek philosophy and culture that shaped its laws and society. It is a more brutish, less sophisticated power, and it is no match for the unified, battle-hardened Spartan war machine. Rome is defeated. It becomes a vassal state of the Greek Empire. The cultural DNA of the West is rewritten. Our foundational values are no longer Athenian ideals of democracy, individualism, and intellectual inquiry. They are Spartan ideals: duty, discipline, strength, the state above all else. So, what does the world look like today? It is a world of stark, imposing, and minimalist architecture, grand but severe. There is order, there is stability, but there is little art, little celebration of the individual. Society is structured like a military barracks. Every citizen has a role, a duty, and they perform it without question. Science and engineering flourish, but only for the benefit of the state. Technology is focused on weapons, control, and efficiency. There are no great leaps in art, music, or literature. It is a world that is technologically advanced, but culturally stagnant. A world of profound strength and profound conformity. The great political idea that shapes the globe is not democracy. It is the concept of a rigid, hierarchical, military-style meritocracy. A world ruled not by the people, but by its generals and its soldiers. In our world, we look back and see the Stand of the 300 as a glorious sacrifice that saved the dream of freedom. A sacrifice that allowed the intellectual light of Athens to flourish and shape the next 2,500 years. But in this timeline, that sacrifice was never made. The Spartans didn't die, they won. And in their victory, the very idea of the world they saved was the first casualty. A powerful reminder that sometimes the most important victories in history look like a defeat.